So my name's Storm Hill. I'm a 2005 graduate of Carrollton High School. I played on the 04 championship team, because I know you asked about that earlier. Then I attended The Ohio State University for a year, and I just had a passion. I wanted to try to play college football, so I went to Walsh University, and I'm happy I did. I didn't get to play there. I'll never tell anyone I was on the team, obviously, but I didn't play a down. But definitely a good learning experience from me, and I appreciate the time I was there. And then from there, I started coaching junior high for Dan Detweiler, who's my defensive coordinator. He's the head coach at Carrollton at that point in time. So I started as a 7th grade football coach, and I've coached at Carrollton ever since. So I just kind of moved my way up over time. So
I guess it's a 2-part question. Why do you love Carrollton football, and how blessed are you to be able to coach here pretty much, your whole career?
Right. Yeah, Carrollton football is important to me. I didn't start playing till I was a sophomore. So, I didn't know, I didn't have super rich tradition on things and expectations for it. But once I was in, I loved it. And even when I was at Ohio State, I was thinking about Carrollton football. So, it was always my plan to come back and coach and teach. And, so as far as just being with football, I love the game of football, but I love the interaction with kids. I tell them, excuse me, that I coach kids the game of football. I'm not a football coach. I want that interaction with them. I want that rapport with them. That's important to me, because when I feel when your players respect you and they understand you're there for the right reasons, they're more invested in it too. So
yeah, they'll run through a wall for it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Once you earn that trust, it's like a bond, like we were talking with everybody. It's a brotherhood.
Yeah, for sure. And I was lucky, because I felt I had that as my high school coach. I could call Coach Godmiller right now; he'd pick up the phone. So, I want to be that guy to those kids. So,
and not every high school football player has that chance.
No,
some head coaches that's not what they are.
Right.
They're in it to win it and to look good. But then there's some guys that devote the time for the right reasons and want to build relationships and want to build a community, because that is the future.
For sure. And I had friends that football wasn't their passion, and they did it because their friends played football. So you have to conceptualize that too. If you want all these kids to be invested in the program, you have to understand some of them, it's for the relationships that they have with their buddies. It's not because that's their number one passion. I might have kids that are going to play baseball in college. This isn't their number one, but they want to have this moment with their brothers. So, I got to give that to them.
Yeah, no, and high school football is high school football.
Absolutely.
There's just nothing else there. You mentioned it. Some kids love baseball, some kids love basketball, and those are fun sports.
Absolutely.
And people fall in love with that, and that's their number one. But for football, it's a totally different.
It's different.
Hair on the back of your neck stands up when you're about to take the field. The smell of the grass isn't there anymore.
Yeah,
but
rubber pellets.
Yeah, rubber pellets, that cool fall air.
Right.
The sun's going down. The crowd's right there, and it's just a totally different atmosphere that
For sure.
you don't get in college unless you're playing for Ohio State or something. But still, it's just a different vibe. And
that's what I had both Matt and Ben Bryan, and we were there talking about high school football for over an hour. And it's easy to do. And I could talk to, any of the guys that I played with in high school, and, we'd have good memories about that, because you build that bond obviously through struggles and successes that you have during those time periods playing football that I don't think you can emulate in a basketball or a baseball game necessarily.
No,
it's just different.
There's not that 2-a-day vibe out in the hot sun and just being miserable and frustrated, but knowing that the end result is running out on the field on Friday night.
Yeah.
You know, getting that win, you know, I mean, I don't know.
And that's what I love about football is you have to put in a lot of time. It's like life. You have to put in a lot of time to get to that final success point, you know? So it's good life lessons for our kids to learn too.
Yeah, I mean, you got 10 weeks, and if you're lucky, you get to go to the playoffs.
Right.
But you have 10 weeks to take all that summer hard work and put it out there for the community to see.
Right.
So I mean, you know, I think it's a great thing. I think coaching's a great thing because you know you're helping kids that, you know, football might be the only thing they have.
Absolutely.
You know, they might not have the best family life, but their family is their football team.
Absolutely.
So I think it's really important, not just, I mean, teachers and stuff, but I think coaches play a huge part in developing, you know, kids.
Yeah, you got to think about all the hours that, you know, myself and my staff put with these kids throughout the summer. And we might have some kids that don't get to play down, but they're just as important to me as the ones that play every single one.
Yeah, and that's all you can ask for.
Yep.
You know, as a coach and as a player, to have that respect. So what are you guys looking? You know, this year, this senior class, it's a big class.
Absolutely.
Not just in numbers, but in size.
Yeah.
You got some big boys.
We were taking a picture the other day, and I was like, there's 61 and 63 and 60. Like, I got all these 60 and 70 numbers, and I'm like, ooh, we got to make sure we kind of recoup those for years to come here.
Yeah, you guys, they call them athletic big men, but
right.
They're hogs. I mean, I don't know, 1-2 hogs kind of thing. Like, and you have them, and that obviously, as a head coach, makes it a lot easier.
It does. It does.
To have guys that are going to open up some holes.
Right, and that's what I was talking to Matt, because Matt played quarterback, and I said, no offense to you, Matt. I said, quarterbacks are important, but I said, the number one position, high school football, is a good offensive line. I said, I can hand the ball off right and left, and we can get a lot of things done if you got a good offensive line that talks to one another and works whistle to whistle. The formula is simple there. I watch in the playoffs, you know, Kirkland does it every single year. They run the stack eye just like we do. And, you know, those linemen, and you know, sometimes they don't even have the biggest linemen, but they work their tails off. Maslin, I think, threw 6 passes maybe in the state championship last year. Like, running the football is a pretty successful equation here in Northeast Ohio.
Well, yeah, I mean, and when you think of Ohio football, you think of running the ball.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not the West Coast, California, long hair, pretty boy kind of stuff. It's the gritty, the grime, the mud. Not really mud, but the mud or the rain, you know, and then you get into the playoffs, it might snow, it's cold, it's, you know, you hear the pads cracking a little bit more and a little bit harder.
And it is interesting because, like, you know, when I was playing, there was a shift to the spread offenses and things like that. And the pendulum's coming back a little bit. Like, you're seeing more 2 tight end sets, and they're fullback in there. And, like, you know, we had Indian Creek the other day, and they were in the wishbone. Like there's an incorporation of what was old is now new again. So
yeah, I think the only team that has never changed is Perry.
Yeah.
They're stuck in that.
Wing tee all the way.
Yeah. So, but it is interesting to see. You know, let's go to the spread and surprise all these defenses and spread them out. And now it's like, let's put everybody back in the box and try to pound the ball. And it's fun to see, like, football change, but not really change.
Right.
So, you know, you talked about you guys run the football.
Yeah.
You know, that's your ride and die thing. I know you had Kiko last year, big part of it.
Yep.
You know, you got some guys that need to step in and fill those shoes. So, you know, how's that going, and how is that all meshing with this new group? Yeah,
and I think, you know, Ryan did a great job for us last year, for sure. Like, and I'm proud of him because he had an ACL injury and came back, and he came back strong. So definitely proud of him for that. You know, we got his little brothers working in there now. So we had, at the end of the season, the seniors replaced their jerseys, and he didn't want to replace his because he wanted his brother to be able to wear it. So I thought that was kind of cool. You know, Hayden's working in there. We have Sweeney working in there, Kreider working in there. So they're all kind of like intermixing. And when we get into, you know, the stack eye, Kreider and Sweeney play some fullback too, and we get 2 running backs in there. So they're all getting their hand on the rock a little bit. So
it makes it nice to be able to have some fresh legs, and you don't have, I mean, obviously it's nice to have a bell cow, but to have guys that you can rotate in, and you know, you get into the fourth quarter, you start wearing down that defense, and you start keeping these guys chugging, and you're getting 4 yards a carry, 3-4 yards, and just after and again and again, it makes it hard for a defense.
For sure. That's what, when I was a defensive coordinator and teams would run right at us and I didn't have an answer for it, it was like the most demoralizing thing. Like, I know exactly what we're supposed to do. We're just getting out physical. And there's like, your hands are tied at that point.
That is probably the hardest thing to be on the sideline as a coach. Like, you want them. It's just a physical match.
Yep.
It's almost like you don't want anything to happen while you're on defense, but you'd almost rather have the big pass play than the 4 yards of carry. Go through the whole quarter with them with the ball. So, but it's always fun to be on the offensive side to just watch that clock run and 4 yards.
For sure. And I couldn't get rid of stack I. Coach T would disown me if I did, so I had to make sure we still work that in.
So you were kind of in the transition from the spread, right, in the early 2000s?
Yeah, so we did, like, when I was in high school, we started incorporating 11 personnel and 10 personnel, and we had, we had a good tight end, and we'd motion across the formation there, and, like, I was telling one of the boys earlier, they asked about our quarterback, and I said, he's an athlete, and, like, we didn't have a ton of plays, we just ran what we did well, so.
What is your... obviously you played in the spread. You're not coaching the spread. Do you, with this line, is that just, does it matter really what you're running?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think the biggest thing is, like, one of my goals this summer is, like, I wanted to expand the offense a little bit, but you still have to conceptualize what's going on. Like, if you have 15 different run concepts, that means you don't do any very well. So we wanted to make sure we, like, condensed them down to, what our kids understand, what they could do well, what's in their wheelhouse, like, and I never want to be a coach that says, this is what we do. Like, let's not try to fit a square peg in a round hole. Like, it doesn't work that way. So if you have kids that are better off doing, a wide concept, let's run wide. If we're better in inside zone or we're gap scheme, whatever it may be, like, let's do what's best for the kids. Like, you gotta, you got to be fluid a little bit on that.
And talked a little bit about offense. Defense, it seems like a lot of these kids like to hit.
Yeah.
So, how fun is that, having a group of seniors that just love playing football and love being physical?
I appreciate it, especially because, like you said, they're seniors, so they're more mature. They've been battle tested a little bit, so whenever we go out on a Friday night, they're ready to rock and roll.
What was I going to say? So what are you guys looking forward to as a staff and as a team this year?
I think just obviously, we talked about, we didn't have great practice last week, and we've, like, definitely learned, like, the time has to be invested throughout the week if you're going to want the success at the end of it. I felt like our kids did a great job this summer. Attendance was great. They worked hard through the week, got a little lax there as we kind of are getting towards the finish line. And I'm glad it happened, here recently, because, like, it's an issue, and, like, we're like, okay, yep, that's what we got to do. We got to change this up, make sure that we're getting it after it Monday through Thursday, and I think they're ready for it.
So week one, not far away.
Yeah.
They don't realize that. I mean, they're in their high school world. What do you guys want for them to take away week one? I mean, you guys obviously want to get that 1-0
right,
and get the ball rolling, because it makes life a lot easier when
for
you
sure.
want to know.
Yeah.
Is there something that you've been saying in the locker room, in the team meetings, at the end of at practice, at the team huddle? Are you saying anything to these guys like, hey, this is go time? Like, this is the week that we got to really lock it in.
Yeah, like I kind of previously said there. I mean, the message for me has been the same on June 1st till the last snap that we have. Hard work works. You got to outwork people. Like, we have blue-collar kids in Carroll County, so we got to be reflected upon that. We got to work Monday through Thursday, like I said, so we can show up on Friday and it's time to go. So I think that's the biggest thing, just, making sure that we invest our time and energy so we're ready to go. But, yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah.
Playing against Carrollton, and I'm sure other schools could say the same thing. When they come to Carrollton, they're expecting hardworking farm boy, throwing hay.
I don't know how many farmers I have, but yeah, we're definitely like, I'll give Richard Johnson, he's a senior for me. He works every single day, and sometimes he's sprinting down the hill coming from work, but he was a perfect attendance kid this summer, didn't miss once, and he worked every single day, whether it was before or after football practice. So, and he's one of the, a few that I had like that. They had to work their jobs that they had, and I have a lot of kids that go to Buckeye Vocational School, and some are doing, work to school stuff this year. Like they're going to work a 7-8 hour shift and then come to practice afterwards. So, I gotta give my props to them on it.
That's a little harder than just going to class and hanging out.
Right. Sit in the AC and learn about English. So
they're out there welding.
Yes,
so that definitely changes. That makes you mentally tough, I would say.
Absolutely.
So what would you like to say to this team, but the senior class, that this is their last go round as a Carrollton Warrior? Maybe something that you wish somebody would have told you, or somebody that something that they did tell you.
Yeah, I don't know. I say take every moment in, because you'll remember it for sure. Don't waste any time. Like I played with kids that they weren't all in, and then 5 years later, you're like, I really wish I would have worked out harder. Like, I had a little bit more in the tank that I didn't use. So that would be my biggest message. And we kind of talked about that today a little bit. Like, entitlement cannot live in this program. If you guys want to be successful, you got to be dialed in on the process. Like, it has to be all about the work.